The year was 2016. I had just gotten back to Kenya from my studies abroad, and I immediately immersed myself into the corporate scene through a job that I managed to get even before I got into the country. Now, knowing the kind of person that I am, who is only truly driven by things that motivate and inspire me, I desperately needed a creative outlet. This outlet would ensure that I showed up every day for my regular 9 to 5, stayed committed to it, thereby using this outlet as a reward to myself at the end of the week. And so I naturally did what any level-headed millennial in my position would do. I started a YouTube channel. And not alone, but with my 3 best friends who, by this point in time, I had known for over 10 years. And also, just so that, in case I got cyberbullied online, I knew I had a few people to take the heat with. And that was it. That was my genius strategy. With that, Over 25 was born, comprising of myself, Julia.
Shiko, aka Shiki.
Lorna, Lonzi Mushemi.
And me, Ivy, just Ivy.
I had only one rule for this project, and that was we had to have fun.
Yeah, we called it our happy place. It was an excuse to meet every weekend, catch up over a few drinks, except with a camera in front of us. We were basically documenting our friendship, and within what felt like a really short period, people started to show an interest in the channel. I remember Lorna mentioning that we had gotten 200 views on one of our first episodes, and it was such a big deal. And then we got 1,000, and then 10,000. We had an audience, and dare I say, we had fans. Then a few months after that, also brands started to show some interest in the channel, and one of them even offered to pay us to market them. At this point, we didn't even have a bank account, but we happily embraced this new us. We were transitioning from just fun to fun and business. But what we didn't anticipate were the challenges that would come with this transition.
So before Over 25, we'd never really gotten into a fight. Making the switch from buddies to business partners brought out versions of us that we hadn't really interacted with before. So all of a sudden, it was like we were done with our honeymoon phase and we jumped right into year 10 of our marriage.
Lorna, I like that you use the analogy of a marriage because you know that it's in marriage that a lot of people say this is when you get to see your partner for who they really are. And the same was for me because I started to see facets of my friends that I hadn't seen before. Take Lorna, for example. I'd always known Lorna to be very laid back, went with the flow. She laughed at all my jokes. And, you see? But once we started Over 25, I started to see a very tough side of her. She was business-minded, bulldozer of a woman, and she came and took the financial leadership of Over 25 by the horns. Something that really shocked me and threw me off course. She was managing everybody, and she was managing me, which is not an easy task. So after Over 25, as Over 25 continued, we just handed the financial leadership over to her, everyone included. And over time, I came to accept that Lorna she's our financial manager, and I accepted her role as financial leader in the end, which was not an easy task. On the flip side, there was Ivy. Ivy was always more on the serious side. Well, minus a glass of wine or two, might I just add that? And during one of our shoots, I mentioned that on my birthday, what I'd really, really want is for a boyfriend of mine, or an imaginary boyfriend, to send me to my office a huge bouquet of flowers, and not just any bouquet of flowers, but something that is outrageous, out of this world, you know, with helium balloons, attention-seeking, I guess just like myself, so that it's not only left at the reception and it's brought to my desk, so that everybody can see. Because I'm a huge sucker for public displays of affection. A week after this, I traveled for my birthday, and as I was walking to the hotel room, the concierge opens the door, and what do I see at the corner of the room? A huge bouquet of flowers, obnoxious, outrageous, with balloons, and they even went as far as writing my name on the bed with petals, "Happy birthday, Julia." I walk over to the bouquet of flowers and I see a card and it says, "From Ivy." Now, this is something that also threw me off because Ivy is the kind of girl who is very measured with her affection, even as a friend. She's tough, she's factual, and very aggressive. Dare I even say abrasive. But over 25 started to show a different side of her, a softer side of her. And I think for her, this was the fun switch for me to observe. Finally, there was Shiko. I've always known Shiko to be very sweet, very mild-mannered. She speaks in a very soft tone, non-combative. As a matter of fact, we call her the Kofi Annan of the group because she's always managing our tempers. So you can imagine my surprise on one day when I was getting a bit agitated because she was running late for shoot day. And I called her ready to scold her. And I said, "Shiko, it's shoot day. It's 12 o'clock, you're running late, where are you?" And she says, without missing a beat, "Julia, I'm running late because I'm gonna be late, okay?" And I didn't know how to take this because Shiko is the kind of person, even when I am aggressive towards her or I come with her in a certain way, she calms me down. While all of this was not bad, I have to say that I kind of felt like I was in the twilight zone all of a sudden with my friends, almost like I was in an episode of Crime Investigations, Who Did I Marry?
I feel you, Julia. All of a sudden, there were all these strong personalities and opinions that needed to be accommodated. And they all felt so different from me and from each other. Our conversations on WhatsApp started to change from the usual, "What a fun episode, guys," smiley emoji, heart emoji, to the occasional, "If I don't get your feedback within the hour, I'm sending this as is," no emoji. It was like there were eggshells that had started littering our beautiful friendship garden, and we just weren't seeing eye to eye. For example, there were paragraphs and paragraphs of messages from Julia detailing how she felt about certain situations, mostly around the creative process, before she could step back and woosa and kind of try and see things our way. There were also short, sometimes cut messages from Lorna, trying to give her point of view before she mentally checked out if you didn't get it and probably picked up the conversation when she sees you next, when her tone of voice is clear, because Lorna doesn't have a very good track record when it comes to tone of voice on WhatsApp. She's always getting into trouble for it. Yeah. Then there was Ivy, who I was sidebarring when these tiffs were happening, to try and kind of give a different perspective. You know, you said this, she said that, to try and bring in some facts to accompany the emotion, because Ivy works well with facts. Basically, things were getting lost in translation on these streets of WhatsApp. And honestly, for me, I just wanted to retreat to the corner of the WhatsApp group, mind my own business, like Kermit the Frog, but not with a cup of tea, with a big glass of wine, because our conversations were getting so heated. And then remember, on top of all of this, there was life in general to deal with. I have a baby. I have a baby daddy. Hi, Shiv. I have a 9 to 5, and I also have a social life outside of over 25.
So work-life and over 25 balance has been the challenge for me. I work in experiential marketing, and yeah, I'm an agency babe. So, you know, just client deadlines are crazy. So a typical night for me would be get home late from work, take out my laptop, and continue working. So a lot of my work happens on WhatsApp, and I manage several brand pages online, and these pages can have up to 3 other pages. For example, we'll have a group for client, a group for internal, anything we need to discuss internally, and then there's working groups where we have our teams on ground taking images and sharing them with us so that we can update our client pages. Other times, I'm not on WhatsApp because a client has asked something and I don't have an answer to it, and I don't want them to see me online, so I'm completely offline. And it's hectic, and because of this, my relationships have definitely suffered. I'll start with my boyfriend. he thinks I'm the worst communicator. And, I can only thank God that he's into me and he loves me. I love you too, babe. Then there's my family. My family, they struggle with the same thing, but thank God they're stuck with me and they can't do anything about it. And then there's over 25. Can you imagine being in a mutually beneficial relationship with these hot, beautiful, intelligent women? Lucky me, guys, lucky me. So, that's the best part. If we have several meetings to attend and some of us cannot, then 2 of us will attend the meeting on behalf of the others. It just works that way. It's life. You have to create that balance. And I'd say we're doing pretty well in this marriage thing. Hashtag BFF goals, hashtag marriage goals, hashtag proud.
So we're married.
Yes.
Okay. What's the number one thing that couples fight about? Money. And for us, as soon as over 25 started to churn profits, money pinched us in 2 ways: savings and individual opportunities. I remember we had our first official business, over 25 as a business meeting in Shiki's living room 2 years ago. We had just shot an episode of Over 25, episode 9 to be exact. And a few of us had a bit to get off our chests. As soon as finances were brought to the table, right off the bat, we agreed 100% that whatever money we'd make, we'd split salaries equally, 25% across the board. Our first disagreement on the matter came about when we started to discuss savings. One half of the group felt that the amount of time, energy, sometimes even money, that was going into this new venture was enough to mandate a certain percentage of pay, a good percentage. The other half felt that because none of this money was ever projected to begin with, we never thought we'd make anything out of sitting in front of a camera and talking. We should save most of it until we could figure out a better way to invest it. We argued about this matter for, I think, over 30 minutes too long, and closed the topic with one side folding, albeit reluctantly. So I'll go back to the channel, where our online presence was growing, and growing pretty fast. And with that, so were our online personas. And the personality differences between us were starting to grow pretty evident. Not only did our fans and our community notice this, but so did brands, who took advantage and started approaching us on an individual basis. So Julia, who would lead our episodes, started getting called in for corporate MC gigs, which is a really big deal. Good job.
Thanks.
Shiki, our resident supermom, would get calls from newspapers and countless magazines to feature her and her family, and you'll always find titles like Ultimate Couple Goals in tow. Then we have Lorna, our oatmeal thick and proud brand ambassador, who would get calls from brand positivity and brand confident companies. Not much for me, just that of late I've been getting so much Game of Thrones merchandise. I'm so happy. So much. Keep them coming if you're here. So yeah, to handle this new conflict of interest in our midst, we decided on a 3-step rule. 1, if you're called by a client, declare the offer on the table openly to the group within 24 to 48 hours without fail. We'd discuss it amongst ourselves, and we'd actually task you to go back to the client and impose an over 25 agenda so that all 4 of us could get a piece of the pie. Why are you enjoying by yourself? If the client refused, then and only then were you permitted to frolic outside of the group.
So it's evident that over time, we have continued to evolve. What started as a fun pastime, now come business, has revealed to us lessons that we'd like to dub over 25 social codes that have helped us keep going. Social code number 1 is tolerance. If we did not tolerate each other, I don't think we'd have gotten this far. And I have our high collective emotional intelligence to thank for that. Friendship is a game of tolerance, and it should be able to withstand a lot, if not anything. My goal with these guys, you guys, is, to build an empire that will stand the test of time, a friendship that will last forever.
Exactly. And why are we still here, despite this new thing we now have in our midst, known as conflict? Originally rooting our business in something that we individually enjoyed. Code 2, it's going to get difficult, even if you're doing something that you love. The trick is to not give up, and especially not on a bad day. I've come to learn that when they say change is inevitable in life, they're not only talking about general life circumstances like your job, your career, or even politics. They're also talking about the very fiber of those who are closest to you, like your best friends, your sisters. And so with that, I can say, even though you've known them for over 15 years, trust me, you do not know your friends, you're forever in a state of knowing them and appreciating them.
And just like change, challenge is also inevitable in every facet of your life. Code 3, in our challenges, we can find our greatest strengths. Now I see our power in numbers, and I see our different personalities as one of our biggest strengths. For me, over 25 as a unit is a 4-in-1 hybrid because, one, of course, 4 brilliant minds are better than one, especially in the content creation space. Not so much when we're trying to make decisions quickly, though. 2, as we're learning each other during this journey, we're also learning so much from each other. And 3, like Lorna mentioned earlier, we have the option to divide and conquer when life gets in the way. There is an African proverb that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. And personally, I plan on going far.
In covering that distance, especially as friends, and particularly on money matters, remember one thing. Code 4, it's nothing personal, it's just business. I always say money will never cry for you, so don't cry for it. This just translates to handle money matters with logic, not emotion. Yes, we do understand as friends. In fact, in any relationship, money is always going to be a sensitive topic. Sensitive topics require tact. However, tact doesn't mean emotion. It's a numbers game. You want 10 times the money, work 10 times harder. You want to increase your salary, increase the revenue that you bring back to the company. It's nothing personal, it's just business. I'm proud to say that as over 25, we resolved our savings issue, agreeing to split revenue 60% to the business, 10% to handle operational efficiencies, and 30% would handle salaries amongst us and our one employee. On individual opportunities, again, we agreed that it's only logical never to waste a good one. So we decided to build each other as friends and as women. We agreed that stifling each other's opportunities meant stifling each other's growth, and a stagnant individual cannot add value to a growing group. So nowadays, even amongst all our little tiffs on WhatsApp, you'll always get the occasional, hey, make that money. Or hey, you go girl. Or hey, you look good in that feature. All the while remembering that it's nothing personal, it's just business.
The year is 2019, and here we are on the TEDx stage. Biggest lesson of all? The biggest lesson of all is that out of every point of contrast or conflict, you have 2 choices. You either run from it or you grow from it. And I think so far we have chosen to grow from it. As long as we're still enjoying what we're doing and allowing ourselves to embrace the little bumps along the way, we are
over 25.